fans. Here we go. We got game 2. Game 3. Get it together, Jaws. Washington, Carolina. And it's certainly looking like there's a distinct possibility that both series in the Eastern Conference could go 7 games, which would be fair because you don't want one team getting swept and another team having to go 7. One team gets to sit around, they get an unfair advantage, they get to take a vacation in the Bahamas, while the other team is getting the crap beat out of them. Let's have it be fair. So what are we going to see out there on the ice today? Most likely, okay, it's not been the exciting series of the two. Let's just put it that way. Panthers and Leafs are making up for the fact that the Canes and Capitals, we all like the sport of hockey. We love the sport of hockey, so you don't want to necessarily call it boring. But there's 2-1 games where there's hits and breakaways and saves and penalty kills and drama and all of that. And then there's 2-1 games that are just basically played in between the blue lines in the neutral zone. And that's what we've seen a lot in this series. Obviously, they scored a couple of goals here or there. But for most of it, it has just been man-on-man, puck battle, puck goes the other way. Man-on-man, puck battle, puck goes the other way. But nothing egregious, right? There's no controversy if anybody's getting suspended. There's a few hits here or there. And I do have one question, and maybe this is a stupid question, but if there's a Capitals fan watching, I'd like to know the answer to this. How come nobody ever hits Ovechkin? And what I mean by that is you see Ovechkin in the other game go up, lay in a couple of hits. How come nobody ever hits him back? Like, I understand he's Ovechkin, but there's no friends on the ice, right? It's not like, oh, we wouldn't touch him because he's too old. Not going to do that. Is it just because they're afraid of him reverse hitting them and rocking them the other way? Or it was Tom Wilson? Yeah, it's Tom Wilson. I think I just answered my own question. If there's another answer to that, you let me know. All right. We're tied at 1. So, I mean, what I always say is game 1 doesn't mean anything again until game 2. Now, game 1 and game 2, nothing happened. Now it's a best of 5. It's game 1 all over again, and nothing matters until after game 2, which is game 4. Exactly. All right. Let's see how this goes. All right, so shocking news. I know there's no score after 1. There have been no goals scored in the first period of this entire series now. 3 games. The most notable thing that happened in that period, in my opinion, I didn't get to see the replay a whole lot, but from what it looks like Ovechkin either got like a stick or a little bit of a shoulder to the face, and about 5 seconds after it happened, and then all of a sudden he was like, oh! And he went down to his knees. No call. They're not going to call that, Ovi. I've seen better acting on Sesame Street. So other than that, it's a continuation. These teams are just playing the most incredible brand of boring hockey that you can imagine. We had a couple of shots here or there. One breakaway. Logan Thompson had to make a save. Oh, and something exciting almost actually did happen. Delayed penalty for Washington. And they're in the Carolina zone, putzing around. And so Logan Thompson leaves the ice, and they cleared the puck, and it goes all the way down the ice, and it missed by about a foot, by 6 inches to a foot. But for a while there, we thought they were going to have cleared the puck all the way down the ice into their own empty net. That would have been great, except my girlfriend's sitting next to me, she's a Caps fan. I was told that wouldn't have been great. So there's that. So move on to second period. All right, so it's 2-0. Carolina after 2. For a lot of years since I do the Panther recaps, we've joked about how the room is bugged because I'll say something in the pregame or after a period, and then immediately after, something to the effect of what I was saying, what I was talking about, will occur, and it's almost like the broadcast. Until we started scoring some goals, it's almost like the broadcast heard me ask the question about why they never hit Ovechkin, because Ovechkin got leveled and they just kept showing the replay over and over and over again. So we finally got some goals here. Aho wins a draw right to Svechnikov, short side on Logan Thompson. And then he gives up another short side one here. The second goal especially, not the best goal. He's not even coming close to covering the post. I mean, there's a solid 6 inches to almost a foot of room there if you're looking at the right angle. And it's 2-0 Carolina. And then Washington ends the period on a power play, and I just don't understand how. I don't understand how, because the way that it goes down is it's called a high stick on Eric Stahl. But Stahl is facing this direction. He's facing this way. The player behind him gets high sticked in the face by the player behind him's stick, the blade of his stick. So Stahl's facing this way. He's got his stick like this way. And the Washington, why it was a Washington high stick. They high stick their own guy. And what I don't understand is how, if they saw him get hit in the face, they saw him get hit with the blade of the stick. And if Stahl is facing this way, how did he hit him with the blade of the stick? None of the refs they're not able to get together and look at the call or anything like that. And so it's not a huge thing because it's 2-0. And if Carolina kills off the penalty, then no harm, no foul. But some dumb shit like that could happen in an important period, important part of the game and really have an effect. And of course, the crowd and Brendan Moore is going crazy with good reason. It's like you can look and it's like, it wasn't even like, well, I mean, it was just blatantly, who knows how that call got made. So, all right. I think Carolina I feel safe about this, right? You know what I mean? Not that I'm rooting either way, although I got the Canes hat on. But if you're a Canes fan, you got to kind of figure Washington could be in a little bit of trouble here, right? Because Carolina is just giving them nothing, and Washington is not trying to take it. And I'll go back to something I said in the series preview. I believe it was the first series with Washington. And my question was, how was Washington, number one, going to handle the emotion of the chase, and then it was over? And number two, Ovechkin. And I got some criticism by one guy in the video, in the comments, but I'll stand by my point. A lot of Ovechkin's goals this year, if you watch, especially the beginning of the first half of the season, were kind of on the power play in his office, so to speak, where there's not a lot of bodies around him. There's no coverage. There's the other opposing team's players kind of just backing off him a little bit and letting him get his shots, and don't have it in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to let you take your shots because you're trying to, chase after the goal. I'm not saying they were letting him, but it was completely different defense that he was facing during the regular season. And, I mean, he's out there. He's not saying he's invisible, but he's not. There's no power plays. There's just nothing happening for Washington right now, and they're not making anything happen. They're just, I don't know what they're doing. If they're waiting for Carolina to make mistakes, they're going to be waiting a long time. All right, let's finish up this game. Oh, 4-0 Carolina. At the beginning of this video, I thought for sure that this series was going 7, and now I don't know. But what do I know about hockey? I tell you, Carolina, it's hard to, it really is difficult sometimes to assess how one team looks depending on who they're playing and everything like that. I wonder, now I know Carolina's a good team. We know they can make teams look incompetent on offense. I do wonder if chasing around the Canadiens got the Capitals a little bit gassed there. Not overly physical. They were laying a ton of hits, right? They were really trying to beat the crap out of Montreal, but they spent a lot of time skating in that series, and they are making up for it here in this one. They are just not skating. I mean, it's only 2-1, so I'm not saying Washington didn't show up, but in terms of playing at a playoff level intensity tonight, Washington didn't show up. And then Thompson did not have a good game. He gave up the 2 short side. And then the third goal was, it was just like basic hockey 101 or basic goaltending 101. And I don't know anything about goaltending, but the shot is coming from the right side, and he stayed square to the goal line instead of coming and facing the shooter. He kind of stayed here, I guess because he was so worried about the post. but then he stayed flat, and the puck goes to the far side, and it was 3-0, and it was over. It was over as soon as Carolina got a goal. Anyway, Washington just absolutely had no gas, no push, no emotion, no nothing. Now, whether that's an aberration and they pick it up, I don't know. And I know it might seem like a stretch to think Carolina or Montreal wore them out skating and everything, but this don't look like anything that we've seen the Capitals do all year. And Carolina is they're just like a beast out there right now. If they had any like modicum of a little bit more offensive ability, they could really be dangerous, and they still are. They still are a dangerous team. It's just hard to gauge how they would look against Florida or Toronto should it come to that. Either way, because Florida and Toronto very, very similar at this point with having a lot of offensive firepower, but being able to play defense, take the hits, give the hits, got the goaltending. I don't know if Carolina has the offensive hook spot, so to speak, to keep up with either one of the Panthers or Toronto. And who knows where that's going to go anyway. So, good game for Carolina. They had a chance to go up 3-1 in the next game and picked up a little bit. Like, we were joking about it being boring. Towards, second period, third period, it was looking a little bit better. But Washington just, no, I hate to say it, but it's a shutout. It's a no-show. They basically no-show today. So, all right, short and sweet for tonight. Tomorrow, Panthers and Leafs. Kyle and I are going to be covering that one. Now, unfortunately, I don't know if we're going to be doing the game before that because I think Kyle is supposed to go do something with his mother for Mother's Day. So it might just be the Panthers game tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to cover the late game now, but you'll find out soon enough. So, all right. Damn, Washington. You gonna, you had a hell of a good season, had a hell of a good run, and nobody pays attention to Carolina. Nobody pays attention to them because it's just like year after year. Oh, look, they're in second place. Oh, look, they're gonna make the playoffs. Yeah, they got great defense. Blah blah blah, and then they find a way at some point in the playoffs to not make it happen. Usually, it's in the Eastern Conference Finals. So we'll see how all that goes. All right, appreciate all the support. We'll see you tomorrow.